Hello. In recent years, we have seen CAT's inclined interest towards borrowing different concepts of quants and clubbing it together with reasoning. So, to give you an idea of quant based reasoning, I have taken a question where divisibility rule will be used to solve the reasoning caselet. Let's start. In the year 2089, the currency of India is available in exactly 5 denominations: 2, 3, 7, 17 and 19. Then there are 5% P through T, and they had notes of exactly one denomination with them, and no 2% among the 5 had notes of same denomination. That is, each denomination correspond to each person, that is a single person. Next, it's given that on a particular day, the 5% visited a shop and each of them purchased a different product. Then it's given that the amounts that P through T paid the shopkeeper were 102, 357, 399, 238 and 147 in that order. That means P paid 102, Q 357, R 399, S 238 and T 147. Further, the number of notes that each person gave the shopkeeper was distinct. That is, no 2% gave the same number of notes to the shopkeeper. Next, it's given that, however, the amount that each person paid the shopkeeper was more than the price of the product that he purchased. That means if P paid 102, the price of the product will be less than 102, and same goes for others as well. Therefore, the shopkeeper returned the excess amount to each of P through T in the form of 2 notes, 4 notes, 1 note, 2 notes and 1 note respectively. Okay, but in denominations different from that in which the person had paid the shopkeeper. Suppose P paid 56 notes of rupees 2 denomination, that is 102 rupees, to the shopkeeper. So, shopkeeper will not give him 2 rupees note in return. He can give him 3, 7, 17 or 19, but not 2 rupees note. Now, it will be a good idea to compute this data in a tabular form. So, let's draw a table like this. Now, here we have P, Q, R, S and T, and in this column we will have amount that these person paid to the shopkeeper, denomination, number of notes and return notes that the shopkeeper gave to each of these persons. Now P paid 102 to the shopkeeper, Q 357, R 399, S 238 and T 147. Now one thing that we need to understand here is that if P is paying 102 rupees, that means this 102 should be a multiple of one of these 5 denominations. So we will check the divisibility of these denomination for 102. 102 is divisible by 2. It is also divisible by 3. But it is not divisible by 7. 7 into 15 is 105. But it is divisible by 17. 17 into 6 is 102. And it is not divisible by 19. 19 into 5 is 95. And 19 into 6 is 114. So 102 can be paid in the denominations of 2, 3 or 17. Same we will do for rest of the amounts as well. For 357, 357 is not divisible by 2, but it is divisible by 3. It is divisible by 7, 51. Then it is also divisible by 17. 17 into 21 is 357. It is not divisible by 19 as 19 square is 361. Now for 399, 399 is divisible by 3. It is divisible by 7 as well, but it is not divisible by 17 and it is divisible by 19. 19 into 21 is 399. For 238 we have 2. It is not divisible by 3. It will be divisible by 7, 21 and 28, that is 34. And it will also be divisible by 17. 17 into 14 is 238. Now 147. 147 is not divisible by 2, it is divisible by 3, it is divisible by 7, it is not divisible by 17 and it is also not divisible by 19. So these are the possible denominations in which these respective amounts could be paid. Now if you observe, 19 is appearing only once, that is here. for R and it is appearing nowhere else. So it should be definite that R paid in denomination of 19 and number of notes that he'll pay will be 19 into 21 is 399. So R must have paid 21 notes to the shopkeeper. Now if R have already paid 21 notes to a shopkeeper, no other person can pay 21 notes to the shopkeeper because it is given that the number of notes that each person gave the shopkeeper was distinct. So here 17 into 21 is 357. So 17 definitely cannot be the denomination in which Q paid the shopkeeper. Also 7 into 21 is 147. Also 7 into 21 is 147. So it is also not possible. So now for T we only have 3. So 3 into 49 is 147. So T must have paid 49 notes of the denomination 3 to the shopkeeper. Now if 3 is gone, so 3 will not come here and 3 will also not come here. Now only 7 is remaining for Q. So Q must have paid 51 notes of the denomination 7 to the shopkeeper. So 51 comes here. Now if 7 is here, 7 cannot come here, right? And 2 into 51 is 102. But 51 is already gone. So 2 cannot come here. So 17 will come here. And 17 into 6 is 102. So number of notes will be 6 for P. Now only person remaining is S, for which 17 is not possible. So he will pay the shopkeeper in the denomination of 2. 2 into 119 is 238. Let's complete this table. Number of return notes will be 2, 4, 1, 2 and 1. With this we have completed this table. Now we will look at the questions which are asked. Question 1 says that what is the total number of notes that a 5% paid the shopkeeper? So total number of notes will be 6 plus 51 plus 21 plus 119 plus 49, which will be 57 and 21, 78, 119, 197 and 246. So total number of notes will be 246, that is option C. Next question. Which of the following cannot be the price of the product that P purchased? Okay. So P paid 102 rupees to the shopkeeper and he got 2 notes in return. And the denomination that P paid was 17. So he cannot get a 17 rupees note in return from the shopkeeper. Now let's look at the possible prices and the differences. So the price is 76 and difference is 26. Let's write all the possible denomination. 2, 3, 7, 17 is not possible, 19. Now number of notes are 2. So combination can be 19 plus 7. If this is the combination, then difference is 26. This sum is 26. That means the price of the product will be 76. So 76 is the possible price of the product that P purchased. But it is not the correct answer. We have to find the option which cannot be the price of the product. Now for 92, difference is 10. Number of notes written will be 2 itself and the combination can be 7 plus 3. If shopkeeper returns a 7 rupee note and a 3 rupee note to P, then the price of the product will be 92. So 92 is possible, so it cannot be the answer choice. Next is 80. Difference will be 22. Number of notes 2. Combination can be 19 and 3. So it is also possible. So definitely the answer should be option D, 82, but let's check. 82 difference is 20. Now using this combination, you cannot form 20. 19 plus 2 is 21 minimum. So 20 is not possible. So 82 cannot be the price of the product that P purchased. Option D is the correct answer. Let's move to the next question. How many of the following statements are definitely true? The price of the product that P purchased is an even number. So the amount that P paid was 102. Number of notes that he got in return is 2. Let's write all the possible denominations. 2, 3, 7, 17 and 19. Now for P, in return 17 is not possible, but he got 2 notes. Now, whenever you come across these types of questions which are asking for definitely true statement, one thing that we have to do is we have to look at all the statements and try to negate them. If even one case is possible which is negating the given statement, then that particular statement cannot be definitely true. So the first statement, the price of the product that P purchased is an even number. The amount that P paid was 102. He got 2 notes in return. So the probable combination can be 2 and 3. He got a 2 rupee note and a 3 rupee note. That is total of 5 rupees in return. So price of the product becomes 97, which is a odd number. So the price of the product that P purchased is an even number, can be a possibility, but I am not concerned about that. But it is definitely not true, right? So it cannot be our answer choice. Next statement, the price of the product that Q purchased is an even number. Now for Q, the amount that Q paid was 357 and denomination that he paid was 7, right? And number of notes that he got in return was 4. Now they are asking for even number, so I have to make one combination which is making this odd. The price of the product that Q purchased, odd number. So 4 combination can be 2, 3, suppose 2 notes of 2 and 2 notes of 3. That means 10 rupees. 2 into 2 and 3 into 2. This can be one of the possible combination, and I am just concerned with negating this particular statement. So that means he is getting 10 rupees in return, which makes this a total of 347, which is a odd number. So there is at least one possible combination where this statement does not hold true. So this cannot be our answer choice. Next, the price of the product that R purchased is an odd number. Now R is 399. Number of notes that he got in return is just 1. So if I give him 3 rupees in return, denomination was 19 for R. So if I give him 3 rupees in return, the price of the product will be 396, which is a even number. So this statement is definitely not true. Now the last statement, the price of the product that S purchased is an even number. S paid a total of 238. He got 2 notes in return and the denomination that S paid was 2. So 2 is discarded here. We have 3, 7, 17 and 19. Now one thing that you have to notice here is that we have all the odd numbers with us and we have to add 2 odd numbers. Odd plus odd. This will definitely be even. Suppose 3 plus 7, 10 even, 7 plus 17, 24 even, 17 plus 19, 36, which is also even. So odd plus odd will always be even. So there will not be even a single case possible where addition of these 4 numbers or any 2 numbers among these 4 results in a odd number. So it will be always even. So S is 238, which is even. So even minus even will always give us even number. That means the price of the product that S purchased should always be a even number. So answer for this question will be option B. One statement is definitely true among these 4. Let's look at the next question. Which of the following statement is sufficient to determine the price of the product that T purchased? The amount that T paid is 147. He got only 1 note in return. Let us write all the possible denominations which he might have got in return. He paid 3, so he can get 2, 7, 17 and 19. So if he got 2 rupees note in return, that means the price of the product will be 145. Now if he got 7 rupees in return, the price of the product will be 140. If he got 17 in return, the price of the product will be 130. And if he got 19 in return, the price of the product will be 128. These are the 4 possible prices of the product that T purchased. Now we'll look at the options one by one. The price of the product is not a multiple of 10. So there are 2 values which are not multiples of 10, that is 145 and 128. So I am not getting a definite price or an exact price of the product that T purchased. So This statement is not sufficient to determine the price of the product that T purchased. Option B, the price of the product is a multiple of 10. Again, I have two values 140 and 130. So again, definite price is not determined with this statement. So it cannot be our answer choice. Option C, the price of the product is not a multiple of 5. It is a multiple of 5. It is a multiple of 5. It is also a multiple of 5. Only 128 is the value which is not a multiple of 5. So this statement is sufficient to determine the price of the product that T purchased. So the answer for this question will be option C. So this combination of quants and reasoning is important from CAT's perspective. In this question, we had divisibility rule clubbed with reasoning. Similarly, we can have any other topic as well, such as speed, time, distance or PNC clubbed with reasoning. We'll solve a few more questions in the coming videos. Thank you.